Sammy Hagar, welcome to The Issue Is. Great to see you.
Thank you. Happy to be here, It's happy to be upright,
So talk to us about where we are right now, your first ever beach club.
Yeah, we're in Huntington Beach, California, and right on the beach, across the street, Pacific Coast Highway, the famous highway. Put your top down, crank up some Van Halen, and you're in California.
Right.
And this is my first beach club. I started the Cabo Wabo brand way back in '88. Wrote the song Cabo Wabo with Van Halen on the OU 812 record. And I said, I'm going to build a place called the Cabo Wabo, and I did. And then I said, I'm going to have my own tequila, and I did. It's like all these crazy things that I never dreamed of that I was going to do, until it's just like one door opened and I said, oh, I'll start my own tequila, but now I have a bar in Mexico. And so, there's one in Las Vegas, which is fantastic. The food's great there too. And I only like build Cabo Wabos that in a place where it's a destination. Yeah. If fans come, they travel from Cleveland or St. Louis and they come all the way to the place. It's not just about eating at the restaurant. No, you got the beach all day. You go down, great shopping down the street. So Huntington Beach is a really cool area, and there's a lot of music around here. There's a lot of clubs and bars where they've got bands that play, and it's a cool place.
Yeah,
I'm so happy. It's my first beach club.
Yeah, and what does the beach represent for you?
When I was growing up poor, everyone knows that. If you don't know it, I was poor. Yes.
Yeah, and grew up in Southern California.
Yeah, almost homeless. At times we slept in cars with my mom, an alcoholic father, and I was raised by a single mom from the time I was 5 years old. So 4 kids too. But anyway, we'd go to the beach. It's like, our splurge was mom's gonna put dollars worth of gas in the car and we're gonna go to the beach, and we could bring our friends, and it's the free thing that you can do. And it was just such a joy to me growing up in Fontana, which is 60 miles from the beach. And we'd go to Laguna Beach and down in this area, and I think that the beautiful thing about the beach is, to me, it's still my favorite place in the world. Mm-hmm. I have to be on a beach. I have multiple homes, and they're all in beach areas, in Mexico and stuff. I'm so in love with it. So I just really promote the fact that you can be laying next to Oprah Winfrey and, Warren Buffett, right? Mm-hmm. And be broke on your ass. And you're going to breathe the same air, getting that same water, getting the same sun, and it's laying on the same beach. And that's for free.
Yeah, and in California there are no private beaches. Every beach is public.
And there should not be private beaches. If they are, they got to be small. You got to have if you have a gated community, then you better have a same size strip next to it. Otherwise, Sammy's going to get upset.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about growing up here in the Inland Empire. When did you find music, and how much of a salvation was that for you?
It was total salvation, because all my friends. Well, I found music when I was 14, and a friend of mine had a guitar, and he would play Dick Dale songs, and Misirlou, boom, and Pulp Fiction made it famous, but it was way before Pulp Fiction.
Right.
And I just would, so I started singing with him. He'd play a Rolling Stone song or Beatles song. They just came out. The Beatles were just breaking in '64, I guess, '65, whatever it was. And so I would sing. He'd say, can you sing? I'd say, yeah, I can sing. And I knew every lyric to every hit song. It was so weird, and I still do. I still don't use a teleprompter. I can sing 400 songs, and that I haven't sung in 10 years, and I'll remember the lyrics. It's one of my gifts, and thank God I have it, because if I had to sit and stare at a teleprompter when I'm on stage, it would take away all my fun.
Is that what most rock stars do?
Oh,
they're reading a prompter with the
all over
lyrics?
The stages, and they got them, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of them do. People that I sit in with, you want a teleprompter? I say, hell no. If I don't know the song, I ain't going to sing it.
Okay, yeah.
So for me, that was the first thing. And then we started playing at friends' houses. A friend would say, hey, I'm throwing a party this weekend. Will you and Ed come over and play? And the guy's name was Ed. Ed Matson taught me how to play guitar. And we'd play it. And it really got me happy. I was really digging it. The girls were always more interested, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
and at 14, 15, that's a cool thing. And it still is, actually. But
yeah.
So once I found music, though, I got so into it. It's all I wanted to do. and all the rest of my friends are going out and partying and getting in trouble, especially in Fontana, San Bernardino. Inland Empire was a tough steel town, you know. I mean, there was a lot of fighting going on, a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, you know, at too young of an age. So all the friends that I was hanging around with before music, they all got in trouble, and I would have been right there in trouble with them. So it really saved me, and I'm not exaggerating. Not one little bit, because I had nothing else to do. I was either going to hang around with those guys and go down there, you know, smoking dope and doing drugs back when you go to jail for that stuff,
right?
You know? And instead, I was hanging out with my musical friends, and we were playing music, you know, and it got me where I wanted to go.
And then you end up in Montrose, and a big hit there, and then Eddie Van Halen's listening to you in Montrose, right, and says, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah. I know, that's the Van Halen connection is so strange, because of Ted Templeman, who produced Montrose in 72, 73, 74. I left that band in 75. That was Van Halen's kind of go-to band, and when they were starting out, you know, and not just Van Halen, a lot of bands were influenced by Montrose. We were kind of the premier heavy metal band in America. And when I met Eddie the first time, it was like, oh man, you know, Montrose, oh, you know, like Rock Candy and all these songs. And I'm going, oh, wow, this humble little kid, this guy can play, you know. Yeah. And next thing I know, I'm in the band, you know, like that was 75 when I first left Montrose, that I met Eddie at a show. I was auditioning to be, for my record company, to be on Capitol Records. I was auditioning for them at a place in LA. I forget the name of the place, but and Eddie was in the audience, because I was from Montrose. But it's just so crazy. And then, you know, 85, I guess, is when I joined Van Halen.
And then you become one of the biggest bands in the world, one of the biggest bands
maybe
of all time, right? Yeah. At the height of that, how do you, as a human being, even process that? All the sex, the drugs, the rock and roll, everything being thrown at you. How do you describe what that was like?
Well, hey man, it's like the king for a day, every day, you know, anything. Those days in Van Halen, especially in the 80s, where you were just rich, famous, and you had everything going, it was like you could have anything you wanted. And thank God I'm kind of a conservative guy. The fact that I always cared more about my health and the music, that I was able to get on stage and sing. So I didn't party all night. I'm a singer, you know. It's like, you can't do that to your voice. And you know the guys that did, you can hear them. You know, they can't sing today. So I was always like so tempted. I did plenty of it, just me. But it'd be like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm saying, I'm out of here. I would make my tour manager or my bodyguard, whoever I was hanging out with, I'd make him, I'd say, now look, I don't care what I tell you. You take me to my room, and if I come to your room in the middle of the night and say, hey, you know, don't let me.
Yeah. And he had to convince you sometimes?
No, I had a couple of good guys that really, really took care of me. And like I said, I wouldn't be in that bad of shape today, but I wouldn't be in the shape I'm in to be able to still sing every song I've ever written.
Yeah. It's incredible. And then in the middle of that, when you're that famous and that wealthy doing that, you launch a business empire in a way that really has been setting the standard for so many people to do, because other people weren't doing what you did with Cabo Wabo, both the restaurant and then the tequila brand. What made you want to get into the business world at that point?
Well, being poor, my mom said, you're going to be like all the rest of those guys, and if you do something with your money. My mom was always, you know, she didn't have an education. She was poor her whole life, and she never had my mother never owned a home. We never had a home until I bought her first home. I mean, that's.
And what did that feel like for you to do that?
Oh, the greatest thing in the world. I brag about it all the time. Not brag about it. I tell other artists, I go, whatever you do with your money, if you don't want to invest it in anything, invest it in your parents. You know, because they've raised you, and they give them the best life they can have, and they're going to pass someday, and it's even a business sense. You're getting it back anyway, so it's like putting it in the bank, but making somebody happy instead of just sticking it in the bank. So that was a big deal for me, and I did a lot of that for my mom and my dad. My father passed at a young age, didn't get to do it for him, but my brothers and sisters, everyone, you know, invest in your family and all that stuff. But my mom just made me think, you know, you're going to be broke. I'm telling you, know, you're going to, you know, they all become drug addicts, alcoholics, and they die broke, you know, from the movie industry, because she used to love Hollywood, you know, and she would read about all these actors from the old days, from the silent movies, you know, that died broke. They didn't even get paid probably when they were working. But But long story short, I took it to heart and I started trying a few things, and I was really lucky with business. I've just, my instincts, I'm not educated, I don't have a business degree, and like Warren Buffett asked me to speak at a Warner Summit one time about 10 years ago, and I did it. I said, wow, you want me to talk to 1,000 CEOs? He goes, everybody in this room runs $1 billion company. And I'm going, oh, great. And I'm going to tell them how to do it. And he told me backstage in the room, he's sitting there with a hole in his shoe, and socks that didn't match, right? And he said, you think different than these guys. He goes, I read your book, and I saw what you did with Cabo Wabo. And he goes, I want you to teach them how to get outside the box.
And what was the key lesson to them?
I don't know if they even listened. I just told them the story.
Yeah.
You know, someone interviewed me, and Betty Quick or something like that from the
Becky Quick.
Yeah. She was the interviewer, and then I did Q&A, and you know. But the only thing I can honestly say is, on a business sense, you go with your gut. You know, the second someone lays something on me, I'm like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And my gut either goes yes, or my gut goes and I gotta listen to it. You know, that's all I do. If I feel it, and I say, oh yeah, and I get excited, and I can see the big. If you can't see all the way to the end of the tunnel, don't go in that tunnel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you say, oh, I got this great idea, but how's it working? What's back there? I'm just one of those guys. If the light comes on and I can see all the way to the end, I go, let's do it. And people go, you're nuts. What do you think you're doing? And like, I lost so many friends, and business manager and an accountant quit, and all these things when I started Cabo Wabo.
Yeah. Really?
Broke Van
Why?
Halen up almost, you know? I mean, they all said, my manager said, well, you got to get the guys involved, otherwise, you know, you can't promote it on MTV. They're not going to like you doing it. And I said, okay, well, I'll share with them, you know? And they got all freaked out when it lost money the first year. It was like, fellas, it's like we can afford $10,000 each year, you know?
So what was that? I mean, you said you got to have a vision. You got to see it to the end. So that original vision for Cabo Wabo, what does that vision look like?
Oh, man, it was like I saw a guy walking down the street. I was on a dirt road. There was nothing there. I mean, dirt roads, one flight in, out, and one out a week. No TVs, no phones, no newspaper. I mean, you went to Cabo, you had 3 or 4 hotels to stay at, Cabo San Lucas Hotel, Finisterre, and Twin Dolphin, and that's where I always stay at Twin Dolphin. Anyway, long story short, I'm going, I see this guy driving down the street. I'm walking down the street Sunday morning, bumping into a barbed wire fence, ripped, he's bleeding, his shirt's ripped up, his pants ripped up, he got, you know, maybe no shoes. I mean, he was really drunk. So I've been up all night, bouncing off a barbed wire fence that was rusty, and bouncing back into the street, the dirt road. And I was going, look at this guy, I can't get away. Look, he's doing the Cabo Wabo. And I started laughing to myself, and the person I was with started laughing. And I drove back, had breakfast, went to my favorite little taco stand for breakfast, went back to my little condo. It was the only condos in Mexico, in Cabo, San Lucas at that time. And I started writing this lyrics, and I wrote them. And I went back and I sang it to Eddie. And I said, think about my Montrose song, Make It Last. And he goes, oh yeah. And he comes with this fantastic riff, and the lyrics just fit, and we put it down, and then I started thinking, wow, I'm going to build a bar called the Cabo Wabo, just like that. And then I thought, oh, and maybe I can have my own tequila. See, the light was coming on. I was starting to see down the road, and maybe I can have these all over the world. You know what I mean? So I just completely saw a deep vision, and no one else could see it. They say, are you crazy? You can't even get, make a phone call down there. And I said, I'm doing it. And I bought the property, and I did it. And I lost a little money. I lost about $40,000 the first year, which is nothing, for a band like any one of us, in that band. And so they wanted out. We're not putting any money in that thing. It's your thing. I said, okay. I took it over, and it just exploded. And the thing I didn't dream was having a tequila that got huge. I always call that the dream I never dreamt. It was part of my dream to have my own tequila only at the bar there. Right. So I went down and got tequila put in plastic jugs. I'm telling you, I actually, when I first got the tequila, it would come in gasoline cans. The new ones, I mean, they didn't smell like gas, but they would just fill up a gasoline. Those things you run out of gas, you pour them in your car, and they'd send me the tequila like that, and we'd put it in a barrel at the cantina and pour it in shots. And
wow. And have because obviously George Clooney made $1 billion from his Cabo tequila all these years later, and Justin Timberlake's got a tequila. Everybody's got a tequila now. Yeah, Did they give you credit? Did they talk to you about this?
Well, some people do. A lot, my friends like Kenny Chesney, when he started Blue Chair Rum, he's talking about, what Sammy did. And the guys in Metallica started the booze, they talked about it. But some people, don't talk about it. It doesn't bother me, but the only weird thing is if people think that they kind of were the first ones to do it. Like Clooney's, everyone says, they first do it, now everybody's doing it. Nah, I did it I started a brand in '88, built it and sold it 15 years before they even started their tequila. You know what I mean? It's like I'd already done it, but it's almost a negative that I did it so long ago nobody remembers.
Well, we remember. We're talking with Sammy Hagar. Talk to us about, what do you think of Cabo now?
I still love it to death. So many people say, wow, it's changed. It has. My house, it used to be on a beach that had, I could walk for a mile and not see another person, a footprint, and nothing else, no other house, another. Now there's 7 hotels that are almost 1,000 rooms each, built around where my house is, and it still doesn't bother me because I really, what are you going to complain? Oh, I discovered this place, it's all mine. No, it's not. It's like, it was so cool, and I went around and promoted it, and everybody said, yeah, this place is great. You go there once, you be there twice. That's always been my slogan. You'll come back to this place, and it's still not overbuilt. Believe it or not, it's not overbuilt. It's getting there, but it's not.
So you've taken that Cabo feel all over the world to all these different places, and one of the things I think is so cool about what you've done is that you give away all of your proceeds now to local charities in different areas. Here, it's going to go to Children's Hospital Orange County. Yeah. Why do that, and what does that mean for you when you see the results of that?
Well, the results is the thing that gets the hook in the mouth, because when you do it locally, you get to see the results, and you get to meet some of the kids and the parents, and you can go down to the local food bank that you just donated money to, and you can hand out food, and you can really talk to the people and feel what you're doing.
And what do they say to you? What's that experience like for you?
It's usually just thank you, like in a very soulful way. It's too touching. I have a hard time even talking about it, but I had one bad experience with a child that we helped in Hawaii, came to San Francisco, where UCSF, where I do a lot of charity work for them. I have Acoustic for a Cure, which is coming up this May 13th. It's our 8th one. Yeah. And I donate all the money for every year to this program, like I'm doing here, which is for children that are born, infants born like with brain tumors and things like that, and they have to be radiated, they have to be hospitalized for long periods, and it's to pay for their parents to be able to stay with them. I can't pay for the operation. This place is not going to make that kind of money. That's real money. But I can help their parents get through it. And so in Hawaii, I helped a little girl with a kidney transplant, and sent her parents over. And when I met the girl, I met her before the kidney transplant, and she was, really in bad shape. She was dire straits. And then a year or so after, I went to meet her parents again, and she couldn't look at me. She screamed, crying, and ran out of the room. And she was so beautiful. I was looking at her like, oh my God, she's saved. She looked totally normal. I mean, really a beautiful little Hawaiian girl. And anyway, it was heartbreaking for me. But then I thought, well, geez, she's just a young girl that don't know how to handle. I don't know what it was, but that's the only bad experience I've ever had. And truthfully, it was not a bad experience.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her.
Right. But I mean, have there been a moment though where you've interacted with a kid and you see yourself as a kid and now know that because of what you've done, you've been able to help a kid like you?
Well, I'm so old, I don't remember being a kid. But I can sure relate to someone helping, because I remember when I was a kid, whenever it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Easter, or any celebrated holidays where families get together, my mom would always have to go to a food bank and get a free turkey, or go to they were handing out hams, or or something, you know, and we always utilize that, you know, and it was a big deal. We said, all right, man, we got a turkey, man, we're going home and invite the neighbors, and so it was always a great celebration. So I know what it feels like to have that. But when I go to food bank, the thing that happened in San Francisco to me was very unique, was that I had made my first big donation to the food bank, and I went down to give them the check, and I said, yeah, I want to look around and hand out some food. And you meet people, you see a couple with a few kids, and they're, you know, dressed nice, and you can tell they have a home and they have jobs. They're not just down and out completely. And you find out that they're there because, you know, they got 4 kids, they got to buy clothes for school, they got to buy the books. The guy's a gardener, and his truck needs tires. And he goes, man, it's the difference between I've got to buy them tires and I can't put food on the table that week, you know. So these food banks really help people like that out. And that's my favorite part about food banks, is that it's for people that are on the cusp of being homeless, and it saves them, a lot of them, from being able to have electricity or food on the table, you know. So it's pretty, I like the grassroots stuff. Like I said, I can't save the world, man. I don't like sending my money across the ocean someplace that I don't even know where it's going. So I like to stay local.
And that's the reason for everybody to come here, because the more they come here, the more you're able to help more people.
Yeah, and like I say, if Chalk doesn't, if we get enough money where I can do the donation I'm looking for with Chalk, we can turn around and help Tilly's Life Center, which is really good for teenagers. They're like infants, they can't take care of themselves, so you got to take care of them. Teenagers that are homeless and stuff, on the verge of becoming either dire straits criminals, or, you know, have to go out and rob somebody to get put gas in their car. I don't know. You got to really worry about teenagers. That's really a balance where things can really turn, and you can. That part I know. That part I remember. Like,
and music's what did it for you.
Yeah.
And now you can do it to help somebody else as well, and get them in
Tilly's
the
Life
right direction.
Yeah, they give them some love, and they give them some hope, and they give them some education, and they give them things to do, and it's really cool. So support that, and then the food banks. Always a food bank. Every city I played for 15 years. Every city I played, every concert. I mean, I do sometimes 100 shows a year. I donate money to the local food bank in that town.
That is awesome.
For 15 years. That's, I recommend more artists do that. There's something, I'll look at the camera and say, you guys need to do that.
Oh my God, there are those eyes. So we're talking with the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. What are you excited about musically these days? Is there other people that you're excited about, or what are you listening to?
You know, I'm such a sponge. It's like, I just listen to, you know, the little device on the shelf there. You know, we yell at it, and, you know, her name. I'm afraid to yell at
Alexa?
Yeah, there might be one in here. Be careful. She'll say, I can't help you right now. I'm busy, you know. But we just yell at Alexa to play something, and it's usually somebody, one of my favorite artists, new albums. You know, Metallica just came out with a new record, and so we yell, hey, play Metallica's new record. Hey, Peter Gabriel's new record. I'm still pretty much a classic guy, but I listen to a lot of blues and country and soul music. And
speaking of albums, I see you've got one back here, right?
Well, that thing's
Circle.
that was the last record we made last year with Dave Cobb, and that's my favorite record ever.
It's your favorite record you've ever done?
Yeah, that's why it's sitting there. Yes.
Why is that?
It's hard to say, because, you know, the first Montrose record. Oh God, you know, just making my first record and seeing it be successful was just great. My first Van Halen record, 5150, of course, big deal in my life. And my first gold album, you know, all those things are benchmarks. But at my age, I didn't think I was ever going to make a record again, because I made one about 5 years ago before COVID, and, you know, it did great, but it was like, it actually went #1. But it's like #1 is 77,000 records, not 7 million records like the old days.
Yeah.
So I thought, man, I got to work so hard and spend all that money and all that time and effort, and then there's no reason to do it. I go out and I play concerts, and they want to hear I Can't Drive 55. They want to hear, you know, Van Halen, Top of the World, Why Can't This Be Love? And I throw a new one in between, and it's kind of like the moment where people go to the bathroom. So I thought, what am I doing? So I didn't think I'd ever make a record again. And then I just got inspired. And, you know, inspiration is a funny thing. After COVID, I was so held back. It's like I was just going, you know, I was like a rubber band, you know. I was like, like a bow and arrow, man. Man, when COVID opened up, man, my creativity just went flying.
Really? You're sitting
I was
at home
writing
just-
songs
yeah.
like meaningful songs. So
Yeah.
every song on this record is meaningful.
Do you have a favorite song on there?
Yeah, it's actually Childhood's End.
And what's that about?
The last song. It's about, oof, look at, here come the goosebumps. Watch out, here they come. Oops. Sorry, folks, I'm a sensitive guy. The wind blows and a lot happens with my body. but it's about the end of COVID being, it's for us humans on this planet. The whole planet went through the same thing together. That's a big deal. We've never, I mean, there's been, the Black Plague in the old days and all these things, but the whole world didn't go through it at the same time and go through the same thing. We did that together on this thing. So coming out of it, it's almost like now we're all grown up. No, now everybody woke the F up, and it's childhood's end. It's like, no, we're not kids anymore. Like, it's it's the kind of the beginning of the end in a way.
And what was your big
It's
takeaway
too
from that
deep.
whole experience, from COVID? What's the lesson you want us to learn from Childhood's End?
Well, it's not just childhood. The whole thing is
Yeah.
Crazy Times is about it. It's
Yeah.
everything on there is pretty much about it. Father Time, that's my ultimate song I've ever written, my best performance I've ever done in my life. It's all on that record. But I think is what we have to come out of that with is that, okay, we all went through this together, and guess what? Like, wake up, start caring about other people,
Right.
care about yourself. I think we have to take care of the planet and take care of each other, and just really be careful. Just get your head out of the hole and really start looking around and look up at the sky and realize it's a delicate system, man.
Right.
And I think we just got to be more conscientious. That's all I can say. Everybody wake up.
You have a new vision, potentially doing something like this as a hotel somewhere, right?
Yeah.
As a
Dreamland.
Cabo Wabo
Yeah.
hotel.
My Disneyland. My Disney World. It's
And you're
called.
gonna make it happen.
I will make it happen, of course.
Yeah.
I've learned one thing, and that's it. You just got to keep your nose to the grindstone and just keep going forward, and you will get things done. You can't look at some vision and go, oh, that's too much. No, not for me.
Yeah, and lastly,
I love it.
We do a game on the end of our show often called Personal Issues, which is like 30 seconds, your favorites. So I'm curious about some of your cultural favorites these days, okay? So what is your favorite TV show right now?
Oh my gosh, that's a horrible question. I don't really watch TV.
Okay.
So I watch documentaries and I watch things I'm interested in. I'm watching a lot of things now, documentaries that have been made, and not the TV shows about it, but the real latest stuff that's coming out about aliens.
About aliens?
Oh, about aliens.
Yeah,
oh,
when you had an experience yourself,
yes, I
right?
did.
You think
Yeah.
you were visited by an alien.
Yeah, and it's all coming out now. It's all, that Area 54, all that stuff. There's guys out there, Bob Lazar, I think his name is, who worked there, and he's talking on these shows, with Joe Rogan and people like that. There he's telling the story. You go, no, I sat in the flying saucer. Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen the little men. They had them. They were.
And your experience, real quickly, what happened to you? So you were visited, right?
Well, I
You
was
think so?
sleeping, and it was in the 60s, so there was no wireless things, and I was wirelessly contacted, and I felt like I was being, describing now, I was being downloaded. Either something was uploading or downloading. I don't think they were downloading information. I think they were uploading to see what I knew and who, So I feel like I was like an experiment, like a lab rat. You know what I mean? But when I woke from it and I caught it happening, I could actually see the guys because we were connected. They were 13 miles away in Lyle Creek, sitting on this exact spot, and they were exactly these things that these guys are talking about now. This flying saucer with the little dome. These two little guys sitting in there, and it was like, wow, my mind expanded. That's all it did. It just made me think, wow, there's something else out there. There's something going on. I never even told people about it for 20 years, because it was so weird. And everybody that's had those experiences, now you meet them and they say, yeah, I know, man. It's like, and you realize there's something going on, and it's really coming out right now, though, a lot of it, and I'm really interested in it because I had the experience. I want to know where these guys come from and what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
You know, help me out, brothers. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Don't just come messing with me, you know. Tell me, help me, show me how to make life better for the world, for other people.
Well, that is wild, and since I'm over time, I'll ask you one more question. What do you think is the most important thing that all the rest of us can learn from your story?
From the UFO story, or
No,
just
not from that one.
from
Your
my
life story.
success
The
story?
UFO story could be a whole other special.
Yeah, you. I'm not sure. I'm still learning.
Yeah. From your story, from their success, from Cabo Wabo, from everything.
That you can do anything you can put your mind to. Do not think that you can't do something because I don't even have a high school education. I'm not proud of that, but I got thrown out of school my senior year, and I just didn't go back. And so. And you just have to have passion, a good idea, have passion, and it usually has to have a higher meaning. You have to want it for all the right reasons. You know, wanting to be rich and famous, everybody wants to be richer and more famous than they are, you know. But that isn't the real goal. The real goal is like, because you want to accomplish something, and you just set your mind to it, and I swear you can do it. Anyone can do it. You don't I'm no special guy whatsoever. I just have good ideas, a ton of passion, and I'm willing to work my butt off. Okay?
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
I can feel the inspiration here. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for the time. This was
my
so
pleasure.
fun.
Thank you for the.
Thank you for watching the issue.
Thanks.
That was incredible. Nicely done. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Thank you.